guys, this is Mrs. Bolin with your notes for 10.3 multiplying polynomials. But first we're going to start with the warm-up, which is just a little bit of review from what we've been doing earlier this week. So first of all, we're just going to combine like terms. So we have 3x and 4x, and that gives us 7x's altogether. And then we're going to look at our plain numbers, which are called constants, -8 and -7. If I've got 8 negatives and 7 more negatives, then I have 15 negatives altogether. So you should have had 7x take away 15. For question number 2, we're going to start with our x's. And because there is a plus here, we can just ignore the parentheses. When I'm adding things, I can add them in any order, and I'll still get the same answer. So I'm going to start by combining like terms. I've got a 7 positive x and 3 negative x. So I'm going to put those together. Well, 7 take away 3 is just 4 x's. Then I'm going to look at my regular numbers. I have 12 and 5. And those are both positive, so I just add them up. So 12 plus 5 is 17. And so that is my answer, 4x plus 17. For the next one, you have to be careful because look, I've got a minus right here. So I cannot ignore the parentheses. Anything that comes before it, you can just write as 4x minus 3. That one's fine. But anything that comes after the parentheses, in the parentheses after the negative, needs to have that distributed to it. So negative times 12 is negative 12. Negative times a positive x is negative x. Now we can go through and say, okay, well, I'm going to put the 4x and the take away x together. So 4 x's, take away one of the x's, leaves me with 3 x's. And then if I have 3 negatives and 12 negatives, that gives me 15 negatives altogether. So 3x minus 15 is the answer to that one. One more of those, be really careful when I distribute that negative. So the first one, I'm just going to write down, I have 9 minus x, and then this is going to be minus x minus 6. So be careful here because these x's don't cancel. If I have a negative x and another negative x, I have 2 negatives. Then I'm going to put together a positive 9 and a take away 6, and that gives me 9 minus 6 would be 3. So negative 2x plus 3. Now we're going to be multiplying polynomials. So there's a few different ways that you can do it and come up with the same answer. So I'm going to go through all 3 methods with you guys on different problems. So just kind of bear with me and then choose which method that you like the best. Okay, so one is to set it up in tables. And I don't know how many of you guys in science have done Punnett squares yet. But you know, you have like big B, little b for blue eyes and brown eyes and whatever, and you use the table to find all the different combinations. We're going to do the same thing for multiplying our polynomials. Okay, so I can write it like this. I've got x plus 3, and I have x plus 2, and I'm going to just put it in those boxes there. Okay, then I'm going to use the box as kind of like a multiplication chart. So I'm going to go x times x is x squared. Then I'm going to do these ones. X times 2 is 2x. Then I have x times 3 is 3x, and 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, then I'm going to look for like terms. I'm going to start with this x squared, and I'm just going to write that out front. Okay, then if we look here, these are the same, right? Well, they're not exactly the same, but they are like terms. They both have just a plain x. So if I have 3 x's and 2 x's, that gives me 5 x's. And we need to separate our answers here with pluses and minuses to show that they're different terms. And then at the very, very end, I just have that plus 6. And if it helps you remember, you can even put the plus on each of those to help you remember to put it in your answer. But you don't need it when it's positive. Okay, so let's try that again with a little bit harder problem. So I'm going to write the 2x minus 3, and it doesn't matter if you put it up and down first or side to side first, as long as the whole term is next to each other like this. So plus 5. So now I'm going to do the multiplication again. So 2x times another x would be 2 with x squared, because x times x is x squared. Then 2x times 5, well, 2 times 5 would be 10, and then an x. Then negative 3 times x would be negative 3x, and then 3 times 5 would be 15, and then a positive times a negative would be negative 15. So I'm going to write those all out. We have 2x squared, and then we're going to put these together. So I've got 10, take away 3, which gives me 7, and it's positive, so you have to write a plus there. And then I have the minus 15. So I'm going to draw a box around that. That is my answer. Okay. The next method is what we call the FOIL method. And if you guys look up here, FOIL spells or is an acronym for first, outer, inner, last. Okay, so now if we're looking at this, we're going to go to the next problem. I'm going to switch colors just so you guys know we're switching on over to a different method. So I'm going to look at the first, these two, the first term in each of those binomials. So the first would be k times k, which would be k squared. Then I'm going to look at the outer. So the outer ones would be on the outside edge, this one and this one. Okay, so this is first, outer, and then we'll go inner, and then we'll go last. I love using all these different colors, so fun. Okay, so first, outer, inner, last. We did our first, now we're gonna look at our outers. So k times negative 1 would be negative k, or negative 1k. And then we're going to do our inners. So the inner ones would be the 5 and the k are on the inside of those 4. Those are like both in the middle. So those are our inner values. So we're going to go plus 5k. And then the L stands for the last one. So the last would be the 5 is the last in this binomial, and the 1 is the last in that binomial. So 5 times negative 1 would be negative 5. Well, you can tell I haven't simplified yet. I still have these two terms that are alike. So I'm going to write k squared plus 4k minus 5. Okay. And you guys, you could do this with the box. If you really like this box method, keep using that method. I'm just trying to show you guys several different ways to approach this. Okay, so I'm going to write this out again. First would be b times b, which would be b squared. The outer would be the b and the 7. So I would have 7b. The inners would be these two middle ones, so 3 and b, so plus 3b. And then the last ones would be the 3 and the 7, the last in each of my binomials. So 3 times 7 would be 21. Okay, and so now I just need to combine like terms. So I have b squared plus 10b plus 21. Okay, for the next ones, we're going to think about distribution, repeated distribution. Sorry, my camera keeps popping back down again. Okay, so if I want to think about taking the first one and distributing it to all 3 of those. And this one is a binomial times a trinomial, so a little bit different. So x times x squared is x to the 3rd. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Now, when I distribute the next one, I'm going to write my answer underneath it, but over by 1, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm going to go 4 times x squared, and because it has an x squared in it, I'm going to write it here, 4x squared. Then I have 4 times 3x, which is 12x, and 4 times 2, which is 8. Now I can just add those up. Excuse me, got something stuck in my throat, a little tickle. So now I have x to the 3rd. I have 7x squared. I'm just adding straight down. I have 2x plus 12x, which is 14x. And then I have this plus 8 at the end. Okay, and that's my final answer. So some people just like to think of it as distribution, and you're distributing 2 things. So I distribute the x to all 3 things, and then I distribute the 4 to all three things. So looking at question number 6, we're going to do it the same way with the distribution, but before we do that, we have to rewrite it, okay? So look at this problem here. Excuse me. This squared means that I have y plus 3 being multiplied by itself. It is not y squared plus 9. That is not the right answer. So you cannot just distribute the little squared, not when there's a plus in the middle. So remember, we had that before, like if it was 3y, you could distribute it to both of those. But when there is a plus, we cannot do that. Because when we write it out twice, now we say, oh, well, it's this repeated distribution, right? So the y goes to both of the things in the parentheses that follow, but so does the 3. The 3 goes to the y and the 3. Kind of looks like a crab claw or an ocean wave. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and multiply that out. So I'm going to go y times y is y squared. Y times 3 is 3y. Now I'm going to write it underneath. And remember why we did that was because then it was all lined up to just add. Sorry, let me just move my book. That's easier. Okay, so now I have 3 times y, and I can put it right underneath here because that's a like term. And then I have 3 times 3, which is 9. And I'm just going to add them up. And my answer here is y squared plus 6y plus 9. And that's the final answer. Okay, so I want you guys to think about what method makes the most sense to you. Did it make the most sense to use the box method where we just kind of like the Punnett squares, we found all the different components? Did the FOIL help you remember what to do? Did repeated distribution help you remember? You choose. I'm gonna try to vary it up a little bit on the homework. I'm gonna help you with the odd ones right now. And hopefully you guys will be able to figure out how to do the even ones and get some practice there. Okay, so odd questions here. We are at the top of page 94. This is one of your assignments that you guys are going to have to turn in to Canvas. So I'm going to write that at the top, page 94. Okay, so let's start this one with the box method. Here's how you would set up your box. Boop. So we have a plus 8, and we have a minus 3. And now we're just going to fill in the boxes. So a times a is a squared. A times negative 3 is negative 3a. A times 8 is 8a. And then 8 times 3 is negative 24. We're going to combine our like terms. Remember that a squared and 24 don't have any like terms, but these ones that are in the middle do. So I'm going to write a squared. If I have 8 take away 3, that leaves me with 5 positive a's. You have to write the plus there. You cannot just stick a 5a in your answer. You have to write plus 5a, and then I'm going to copy the minus 24, and that's my answer. All done. Okay, question 2, same type of problem. You guys do that one on your own. Okay, problem 3, I'll do this one using FOIL. Okay, so we'll start by looking at the first, which would be y and y. So y times y is y squared. Then we'll do the outers. And the outers are these ones that are on the outside edges, the y and the negative 5, so negative 5y. Then we will do the inners. And so we'll go 10 times y, so that gives us 10y. And then we'll do the lasts. The L stands for lasts. So the 10 and the 5 is negative 50. Now we'll just write our answer. We'll put together all of the like terms. So we have y squared. 10 take away 5 is 5y, and then minus 50. And if you did this a different way, you should still get the exact same answer, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and go down to number 5. And I'm gonna show you what a box looks like if you've got a 2 by 3. Okay, we could do this with a repeated distribution, but I also want you guys to see what it looks like with the box method. So I've got a 2 by 3, which means that I'm gonna go put the t minus 2 on that side because there's 2 rows. And then I'm gonna put these at the top of each column, t squared minus 5t plus 1. You can put a little plus if you want. Okay, so t times t squared, well, that would be three t's being multiplied by each other. Then I would have negative 5t squared if I just multiply by another t. 1 times t is t. Then here I have negative 2t squared, positive 10t, and negative 2. And then I'm just going to put together the like terms, keeping in mind that the regular t squareds would go together, and then the regular t's would go together. Okay, kind of looks like a peanut there. All right, so I have t to the third power. I have minus 7t squared. I have plus 11t, and then I have minus 2. That was just combining the t squareds and the regular t's, and then just writing those other ones. Making sure you put pluses and minuses to separate all of the terms. Okay, number 6, we're going to skip, but it's going to look just like this one. You're not skipping it. I'm just skipping it. You're going to try that one on your own. It should look just like this if you want to use that method. We'll do question number 7 together. I'm just going to do repeated distribution for this one. So if I have m times m and m times negative 6, I have m squared minus 6m. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the 6. 6 times m and 6 times negative 6. So I have positive 6m and minus 36. Well, what happens to my middle term? If I have a positive 6 and a negative 6, they cancel. And so my answer is just going to be m squared minus 36. Okay. Question number 8, you're going to try on your own, and my hint is anytime there's a squared, it means that you need to rewrite it 5p plus 2 being multiplied by itself, because that's what squared means. You cannot distribute the 2 when there is a plus or a minus inside. Okay. So make sure you remember that. You have to rewrite it out, and your answer is going to be a trinomial, meaning 3 different terms. Okay, question 9 will do just like that problem. 6x minus 3y times 6x minus 3y. So I'm going to do repeated distribution for this one. So I have 6x times 6x is 36x squared. 6x times negative 3y would be negative 18x and y. Anytime there's 2 letters being multiplied, we write them in alphabetical order and we just stick them right next to each other. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to take the negative 3y times by 6x and also times by negative 3y. So even though the y comes first here, we still write it in alphabetical order. So 3y times 6x is still negative 18 with an x and a y. And then a negative times a negative is a positive 9y squared. Now I'm going to add those up and combine my like terms. Okay, so I have 36x squared. These ones don't cancel. Remember, these ones did because they were opposites. This just gives me more negatives. If I subtract 18 and I subtract 18 more, now I'm at minus 36xy, and then I just write this plus 9y squared at the end. All right, this has been a long one, huh, you guys? Okay, number 10, just look at it really quickly, you guys, right away. What did they do? They did exactly what you cannot do. You cannot distribute the 2, okay? So instead of this, I want you guys to write out k plus 4 times by itself, which is k plus 4. And then distribute it. You can use the boxes, you could use FOIL, you could use the repeated distribution. So either one of the methods, any one of the methods that you want to use, but you cannot just distribute the squared. That is not okay. We can do that when it's multiplication. We cannot do that when it's a plus or a minus on the inside. Okay, so finish that one on your own, get it updated into Canvas, and I'll see you next time.